that's sort of why all the characters end on an ambiguous note, but a hopefully ambiguous note. They have the tools that they need to proceed from here in order to live a good life and be in a better place in the future. And so that's why the ending is what it is. It's one where every single character has more hope for the future and a better place in order to deal with further problems in their life. I feel like it's a reasonably realistic ending, all things considered.
One of the things that I sort of noticed at the end of the game was finishing out all the conversation trees, changing the status of all of your friends, and then having the final conversation with John. Is there a way to not have all of your friends show up, and does that influence the ending?
So, I originally did write in a bad ending for the game. I originally did write in stuff that you could do in order to intentionally screw stuff up. But the more I started writing that, the more I just got depressed and, like, starting to realize this isn't the kind of story that I wanted to tell. Like, I think it's fine to take away the control, the agency to have a bad ending if the stakes are inspiring a young trans person that things are going to be okay, versus giving them the agency to feel like things are not going to be okay. So I scrapped the bad ending. There's still a few very secret gag endings that you can find in the game. There's still a lot of stuff that you can do in order to have some funny endings. Those, I'm not going to spoil those. You'll have to find them out for yourself. There are still many, many secrets left in that game. But I wanted to give people a good ending regardless. So your friends are all there for you. All of their statuses change to XY character is here for you. The only exception to that being John, because more than any character, John has the most ground left to cover. He is, ironically, the person who has the most growing up to do. So his message still says John has logged off.
That all being said, and cheeky, those gag endings and secrets, would you be willing to drop even just a hint to one of them?
All right. One of the gag endings you can get by exploring some new posts on the forum in the final day of the game. So I'll just leave that to you.
All right. Are you planning on working on a sequel, or is this going to be kind of its own contained story?
I've had so many people ask me if SLH2 is going to happen, and like, as much as I would love to say, yeah, I've got a bajillion ideas for what I want to do next, it's honestly not true. I have no idea where to take this from here. If I do ever come up with a good idea for another story that I want to tell with this setting, then you bet I'll make a sequel. I really want to make a sequel. I just don't know what to do with it. Like, I'm just being honest about that. Like, if I were going to make a sequel, I want it to be telling another aspect of the trans experience, like another aspect a lot of trans people can relate to. And a lot of the stuff in that space, especially stuff that happens later in life, is stuff that like has already been covered, like what transitioning is like, what living in the world as a trans person is like. And like, that is actually the one place that trans media is very good at covering. And like, so I feel like a lot of that stuff has already been said. So if I was going to do a Secret Little Haven 2, then I would want it to be about another part of the trans experience that doesn't get talked about as much.
Are you currently working on any projects external to both your day job and SLH?
My day job takes the wind out of me. Like, I generally do not have much energy when I get home from work, but I am working on a few small side projects. One of them is another just cutesy, bubbly visual novel with one of my friends, and that's been on hiatus for a while now, but we're sort of starting to hope to get back into it. The other is a much, much more long form project that I've only barely started, that probably isn't going to be out for another several years, called Polygon Tengoku, which is sort of a freeform, low poly exploration game based off of a very specific game that I played within the last few years that very much influenced how I see things like secrets and exploration in games.
What game was that?
So it's a very obscure game from the Nintendo 64 called Polygon Studio, or more accurately, Mario Artist Polygon Studio. It was only ever released in Japan. It was intended to be sort of a successor to Mario Paint, except with 3D models. And, like, I was just playing it with my friends one day. We were just messing around with random stuff on my N64 flash cart, and we came across this. We sort of thought, oh, that's cute. You can make little 3D models and have them dance around or whatever. But hidden within a submenu of a submenu of a submenu in a tiny little icon in one of those submenus, you can find an entire 3D open world vehicle building Metroidvania game.
What?
It's there. This game only sold like 10,000 copies, and Nintendo made it, and no one seems to know anything about this game. It felt like I was exploring something new for the first time in a long, long time in a game. And that was so exciting. It was really, really cool. Like, we found this thing that, like, has been hidden this whole time and is an entirely new world to explore. Like, with Polygon Tengoku, I want to make a tribute to that feeling of discovering something entirely new in a game. Like, I'm still working out how I want to do that. I'm still working out the themes that I want to explore, but I want to address stuff like how we interact with art, how the viewer's perceptions influence what a piece of art is. Like, the experiences and impressions that you have going into experiencing a piece of art will affect how you view it. And that's one of the things that I really want to play with.
On that note, and you mentioned some media that sort of impacts the trans experience. What would you say, like, just 5 pieces of media would you say that you would recommend for trans individuals that want to kind of get their beak wet with maybe obscure or not quite as well-known media?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a couple. First of all, I've got to, like, give a plug for my friend Jenn Raye. She is an amazingly talented and prolific game designer. She's a super great friend, and I care about her a lot, and the games she makes are super, super awesome, and everyone should go play them. Like, probably the one that most directly maps onto the trans experience is her game Boa Retina. It was originally sort of a game that took place across multiple devices in the real world that you interact with, and then all linking back to this computer that the game actually takes place on. That really, really inspired me to do a lot of out-of-the-box things with Secret Little Haven, and SLH would not have been a thing unless I was talking to Jen about it and exploring what to do with the game. Like, I really owe Jen a lot for this sort of stuff. Like, so yeah, go play Boa Retina. I, in fact, included a small little reference to Boa Retina in SLH. If you notice, John's icon is a menacing-looking eyeball. In Boa Retina, there is also an abusive father figure whose in-game avatar is a foreboding giant eyeball. So there's that.
It's the fact that they choose icons that are so approachable. So welcoming.
Yeah, I know, it's real swell, guys. Nathalie Lawhead makes a lot of super interesting desktop simulator stuff. She's inspired me to do a lot of, like I said, a lot of really out-of-the-box stuff for the Sanctuary OS and SLH. And she's definitely pushing the boundaries of what constitutes a game and what constitutes a game narrative. Like, absolutely check her stuff out. Her game, Everything Is Going to Be Okay, that's the name of it, is probably her most well-known work, and I super, super recommend it. Okay, one more. One Night Hot Springs. It was a game released around the same time as SLH, actually, about a Japanese trans girl, and the very small experience of her trying to figure out how to safely go to a bathhouse with her friends and not be harassed or deal with a ridiculous amount of dysphoria from doing that. And I really recommend that. It's a short, sweet experience, and it's free on itch.io. And I can't really think of anything super major beyond that, so just look around, check out the transgender tag on itch.io and see the kind of stuff that you find, because there's a lot of really amazing stuff out there.
All right, before we wrap up, do you have anything you'd personally like to plug?
I already talked about my friend Jenn, so go play Boa Retina, go play her new games, Imperishable Memories. Like, she released that a few months ago. It's super great. You should all go play it. She's making a whole bunch of other stuff right now. Like, I'm not going to disclose that here, but she's done a lot of awesome stuff. Go check her out.
And your Twitter is
at Quest for Tori, and my friend Jenn's is at Jenn Raye. Jennraye. And Quest for Tori is just Quest for Tori.
Is that going to be the best place to see upcoming projects or news or anything from you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, I regularly post stuff that I'm working on that isn't, just stuff from work, which I'm not allowed to post, but personal projects, I mean. So, yeah, just follow me on there.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. This has really given some more insight into the quite excellent story that you've already crafted. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Everything that we have discussed is going to be in the description below this video. You can follow me or Tori on our social media accounts that are also going to be linked below. You can find more information about stuff that I do on my personal website, ss15studios.squarespace.com. And I hope you guys enjoyed this interview.